Chronic wounds are a really big challenge, I think, for the whole regenerative medicine space. And that is because there's a lot of basic requirement to look after patients at all, giving them the right basic care. And I think that's a prerequisite for then regenerative medicines to make an impact. And if those prerequisites are met, regenerative medicine could really turn around the healing of many of the chronic wound cases that are coming through the NHS, through all healthcare services, really across the world on a daily basis. Just to give an idea of scale, we're seeing something around 2 million patients in the NHS every year with chronic ulceration, which need treatment. We're beginning to standardize basic clinical protocols. And so I would love to see regenerative medicine being then deployed as a value add to those basic protocols. And the sort of work that we're working on with tissue regenerative scaffolds would be an ideal type of solution to placing onto a wound. Any wound in which a clinician deems can be cleaned up surgically, process called debridement, would then be amenable to a regenerative therapy, which is going to organize what would otherwise turn into sort of scar tissue to stabilize that wound and hopefully allow the patient to get back to a more normal life. And just finally on this, we think of chronic wounds as being sort of associated with elderly people, but really they can occur right through the sort of whole latter stages of life and even earlier where wounds get infected. So this is part of a continuum of providing good care for rehabilitating people after injuries of whatever sort. The real, I think, issue with a lot of new therapies coming through development to be adopted into routine clinical use is all around evidence. And chronic wounds are an area of the medicine in which medical treatment very much has to interface with the patient's own sort of life situations, life stories, life priorities, I suppose, because they do take time to heal. So a patient's not going to be necessarily bound to a strict medical sort of discipline during that healing process. So that in turn means that generating evidence that something works as opposed to doesn't work is very challenging statistically because there are so many other variables to take into account. What we really do need, I think, is a stepwise progression of evidence from sort of controlled studies, which we can do in laboratory settings, doing sort of preclinical and to a certain extent clinical research, and then extrapolate that data. These are all very expensive. So to get from sort of promising product to market just requires a combination of investment to fund these studies, but also the design and the sort of motivation, the interdisciplinarity to bring studies to get the right sort of answers, which are going to then make a difference.